essayer de me jamais perdre
We were
la
the hard
Alors,
tyres. I
c'était très
think we made
difficile
a
avec
good
des
time.
gommes dures, très compliqué, et d'autant
I
plus que
tried not to
j'entendais pas
lose the
donner avec
temperature of the
le
tyres.
réchauffement.
It was tough with these. I wasn't hearing my co-driver, so he thinks he was the only one on hard tyres. He obviously Kopecky was on hards as well. But interesting. So where Breen is saying that it's not the soft tyres, they've overheated. Delacroix is saying the hard tyres, it was difficult to keep the temperature in them, but also probably because if he can't fully commit, so the exhaust very noisy, he can't hear the co-driver, he can't fully commit, he can't generate the temperature in the tyres. And that's how technical it can get. People think that rallying isn't technical, and it's very technical.
It's one of the most technical sports there is. Sarrazin, you saw on board just a moment ago just how dark it is at that particular stage of the rally, and now we're on board with Bouffier coming to the end of the stage. Now it's going to be very interesting to see what sort of a time he can do in comparison to Kopecky and Breen, because they were very close together. A tenth of a second separated them, and Bouffier needs to be around sort of 10 seconds plus or minus here, really, to be in with a good shout.
Lovely
He's in.
job on the handbrake there, downhill handbrake, picked the revs up fantastically. Sorry, Jake.
He's an absolute master at it. He just makes it look so effortless. Split-second decisions on the steering. Not too much opposite lock. That's the one thing you want. You want smooth when it's this difficult in terms of the conditions. When it's slippery or under braking, he's having to get
Fighting the car.
He is. He's trying to get control of the car.
Look at the different colours of road surface. You can see where it's not drying and is drying. And when you're under the trees, that's magnified even more. Dropping temperatures.
He's got to make sure he just keeps a smooth rhythm here. This is the ultimate tactic you need in conditions like this, where the car is desperately trying to stay on the road. Daniel Oliveira, the Brazilian, comes through. We're not expecting a massive time from him, and there it is, 16:13.6, so 40 seconds adrift. That's about concurrent with what he's done so far over the course of the day.
He's gone 9 seconds quicker than he went this morning, so Oliveira starting to get his head around the car. I said that the car was jumping around too much, it was kicking, and basically it's reacting to the bump, so it's either he hasn't got the setup quite right, or he's just not quite as comfortable in the car as some of the others are. So Oliveira about to be grilled at the end of the stage.
Daniel, final stage of the day, and obviously light put on, was it good?
No, this stage I was happy. I think we have a little bit scared in one brake that was a little bit wet, but now I think I start to feel in the car.
He could have been sitting right next to you, Andrew.
Indeed, feeling the car.
So Bouffier coming through to complete stage 6, and this is a man who is
cut on the left there, big cut.
desperately trying to hang on to the lead of this rally. This is what he's fighting for, and already in the stage he is down about 11 seconds. In fact, it increases to 14 seconds at the split, at the second intermediate at the 10.26 kilometre mark.
No,
sorry,
he's 11 seconds down. He was 11 down at the 10 kilometre mark. This is 24 at the end. So I mean, if he continued to lose a second a kilometre, that could be as much as 24 seconds. Let's see what the gap was.
That could drop him as far down as third place.
It'll put him about 20 seconds in front of Breen, if that's the case. Here we go, another big cut on the left. On board with Bouffier, who's pushing hard, regardless of whether he's losing time or not. Lovely split screen there. You can see the road that they're attacking and how it looks from inside. Look at the helicopter shot, and it looks like they can see miles down the road, and then you look at the onboard, and everything's blind. Pace notes absolutely crucial. It was Chris Meek and Craig Breen both saying you've got to have good notes on this island. Meek in the 0 car, if you're wondering.
So he will have been the first driver really to have seen this at a decent pace, and he'll be able to give crucial information back to the FIA just in case there are any issues. But the only issue out there is that where do you pick your line? You go left, you go right? Well, you have to take a combination of both as he comes into the last bend.
15:35. He's not so far down. It's
going to be a 15:40.1. That's very good. Very good indeed from Bouffier. That's going to keep him very much in the hunt for the overall victory here. He's done a brilliant job.
Yeah, you've got to look at the splits. He was 11, I say. Well, he was 3 down the first split. He was 11 down by the second split and has pulled it back to 7.4. So that committed drive that we saw at the end of the stage there, we said he was on a mission, and indeed he was. So Bouffier manages, he will lose the lead. He's going to end up about 4 seconds back, 3 seconds back from Kopecky. Kopecky will be our new leader.
Kopecky and Breen were quick. Bouffier doing exactly what he needed to and a little bit more.
Brian, it's the end of the first day in Corsica, and that time there, Jan has just beaten you. He takes the lead from you.
Et ouais, là Yann a été vraiment super rapide. C'est vrai que je pensais pas que ça allait être aussi sec. J'avais mis 4
Yeah,
pneus de
Jan
temps.
was very
Bon, je
fast.
crois que c'est le choix de Craig et malgré tout il fait un bon temps.
I
Donc,
didn't think it would be that
on va
dry.
essayer d'attaquer. Il manque un petit peu. Va falloir attaquer plus fort demain.
I think he had a good time. We tried to attack, and we'll attack a bit more tomorrow.
That's a man who is fighting for the victory.
That was
He is
mega. The on-board at the end there, you could tell he was on a mission. From the way in which the car was behaving, he was pushing the envelope, and fantastic to see.
And he's not phased at all about Kopecky either, because he knows that he's got to play the long game here if he wants to be in contention for the victory. We've seen already, Breen has had a puncture, Kubica's dropped out, Kopecky could well be the next one to fall. He knows that he's just got to stay in the contest.
Yeah, long. If you look, everybody, as you say, has had problems. It was interesting. I said this morning, are people pushing too hard? And I don't think Breen was. I think Breen was proving how fast he is, and he will win an ERC event. In my opinion, Breen is, you know, from our little group of islands over here, the UK and Ireland, I think he is the next one who will make it to the top. He has a fantastic programme with Peugeot. He's testing the R5 specification to 8. I think Breen, you know, he's just got to get that monkey off his back of the win. The same things happen to other drivers in the IRC and the ERC before. In any championship, once he can get the win at this level again, and it's not that he hasn't had wins in the SWRC, but just one with the ERC tag on it. He's been very close this year. I think it's 3 times in second place. So it'll come for Breen and Nagel, just maybe not this time.
Ireland's never had a World Rally champion. I don't think it's foolish to say it might not be too long.
Fingers crossed. Got to maintain that funding, of course. It's very, very difficult for any young driver to make it all the way through, but with a manufacturer like Peugeot behind him, I've really got my fingers crossed for Breen, as I know a lot of rally fans here have too. I did look earlier on very optimistically at whether or not Breen might be able to make up the gap in front. He was about 0.3 of a second a kilometre faster than Kopecky on average, and there were 109 kilometres left, which meant that I thought he might be able to make up 31 seconds tomorrow. That's on average when he's having a really good run. Then Kopecky, of course, stemmed that flow a little bit. So all to play for tomorrow. There are 109 kilometres to compare to today's 138. Sarazan at the finish.
And across the line in a 15:41.5, 8 seconds adrift again. Very good pace there from Sarazan, considering where he is in the rally. That is an amazing performance from Stefan, and he really has shown that he is getting very, very good with this car now. He's just a second shy of Bouffier.
Doesn't seem to have been running the lamp pod. Look at those brake discs, fantastic.
That is a man
blowing away, yeah.
That's a man who's been absolutely on the limit for the last 24.5 kilometres. What a driver, one of the most versatile men in 21st century motorsport. F1, Le Mans and rallying, the lot.
Stefan, end of the first day at Corsica, first day in the car. How has it been?
Ça a été une bonne journée, on est là, j'ai pas fait d'erreur. On a eu
It's been a good
une
day.
journée assez difficile avec le temps, les choix de pneus.
I made no mistakes.
Dans la précédente, c'était mouillé. Mais la voiture glisse beaucoup, j'ai du mal à trouver les bons
Maybe
réglages,
not
mais,
the right choice of
là, on a fait un
tyres,
bon
it was
step
wet.
ce soir. Et demain, on va encore faire un autre step et j'espère que je vais pouvoir
Very
attaquer
slippery,
fort.
although tonight
Et là,
it
je suis
was
en manque
okay.
de confiance, donc ça va très vite et très
We'll
piégeux
move a
avec
step
le gras.
forward
Donc,
and
je suis là et demain, on essaiera de
I
monter en
hope I
régime.
can attack a bit more, but it's tricky at the moment. Tomorrow we try to do better. Well, we can look forward to that. 2 more stages live tomorrow, Jake.
And there's a little bit more time left for the other competitors to throw their hat into the ring. Join us again after the break. Leandri just finishing off, just under a minute behind Kopecky's time. So the Frenchman still holding local honours, and let's see what he has to say after 24.5 kilometres.
Jean-Mathieu, the brake discs are really red. How was the stage?
Spécial très compliqué, je pense qu'on avait les bons pneus. Après on s'est fait une chaleur, on a failli prendre une vache dans la
We have
descente
the good
et
tyres.
j'avoue que ça nous a pas mal refroidi, mais bon.
We almost hit a cow
c'est
in the
d'être là ce
downhill.
soir. Demain, c'est des spéciales que je connais un peu mieux, donc je vais tout faire
goal
pour
was to
remonter
be
demain.
here
C'est
at
vrai
the
que c'était
finish.
pas une journée facile pour les
Tomorrow,
choix de pneus,
the
j'ai
first
jamais fait
stage I
le bon
know
choix, mais
quite
bon.
well. I'll try to do
La voiture
better.
a bien marché, j'ai pas fait d'erreur, c'est déjà le principal.
Not easy. The cow was okay. I made no mistakes, so that's incredible. So I'm sure
if anybody wants any roast beef, they may well go and find Jean-Mathieu afterwards.
Unfortunately, animals do occasionally make it onto special stages, and they do not mix with rally cars.
No, there have been several drivers
that hit a cow. I'm sure Mackinnon's hit a cow.
I think he has.
On the Azores last year, somebody hit animals there as well.
I think you're right. I think actually, as he was coming into the across the finish line, I did hear somebody on the radio saying Mackinnon. So I think it is reminiscent of that. I think that's exactly what they were saying.
You said as he came over, while we were at ad break, he came over the finish line. We have a feed here that we can see, and he said about Mackinnon, and I think Jay's correct there. Mackinnon, I seem to remember, ended up at one point in Corsica hanging off the edge of a cliff upside down in an Evo 6, but I don't know if that was the cow incident or not.
There's not many drivers in their career who can say they've done that either, is there?
I know, but Mackinnon's a bit special, isn't it?
So we're looking at Manzagol, one of the other local drivers, just finishing off, and you can see how dark it is now. Drivers really having to pedal to the metal just to be able to see where they're going more than anything else.
Lamp pod on, not all the lights, just the two centre ones. That's a long beam down the road as a general rule. He hasn't got the other ones on. The headlights will still give him a decent spread of light, but I'm afraid your road headlights, no matter how good your car is, they do not match up to the power of a lamp pod. They are incredibly impressive at how they can light the road up in front.
So it's a good opportunity here to talk about who you're not going to be seeing for the remainder of the rally. Patrick Langiani, another local boy in the Renault Clio, went off the road in the end in the second stage, on this very stage earlier on, as Manzagol comes home 51 seconds down. So an incident for Langiani, meaning he retires from the race with an accident. On the same stage here earlier on today, we also lost Jose Micheli in the S2000 Fabia, with mechanical gremlins putting him off the road. And the only other retirement on this stage earlier on, which we did talk about at the time, was Jean-Dominique Mataille, another Skoda Fabia driver who had an engine failure. So those are three drivers